a big news item, the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett as our next Supreme Court Justice, and there have been a lot of conversations around what that might mean for Black communities. Let me open up first with you, Tim. What's your sense? How do you think this is going to impact Black communities?
Well, Deborah, when you think about this moment, this historic moment, she is the youngest justice to be confirmed. You have some people in the African American community that are concerned about, women's rights, LGBT rights, health care, and they're concerned that with her on the bench, this could negate that. That could strip away some of those protections. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. She has said in the confirmation hearings and even in her acceptance speech that she is going to follow the Constitution and the letter of the law. She is not going to allow personal opinions, her personal politics, influence some of these decisions. So we will have to see.
We will see indeed. And I want to go to you, Kerwin. How are you seeing this play out? Are you hearing from your constituents and friends?
So what I'm hearing from my constituents and friends is frankly pretty much very much grave concern, just as Tim spoke. They are scared that a lot of things that was put in place for their protection, and particularly LGBTQIA communities, will be stripped away. They're concerned about Obamacare. They're concerned about her history. When it comes to particularly the limited experience that she have, even as being a judge, in which she just came in 2017. And so it's a lot of things like that the community is really paying attention to. And we will see if she hold true to her word and follow the letter of the law, or if she will lean into different politics.
And Danielle, what's your take on her confirmation and how it will impact communities, Black communities in particular?
Well, I guess being the only girl here today, I am excited to say that I am happy about her confirmation. One, I think it shows President Trump's commitment to having women on the bench since 2009, with Judge Sotomayor being sworn in. It's every decade or so, as an appointment comes up, a female is, added to the bench. So right now we've got a third of the Supreme Court justices that are women. And I think that that's a positive thing to look at. So I see it as a win for women. And if it's a win for women, it's a win for Black women as well. I will definitely say this: what I'm excited about for her confirmation is this idea that a woman can be an unbiased, sort of like to the point, let's do, what's allowed and let's not do what's not allowed. I think that that's something that's a plus, because right now we want a justice that, follows, the rule of law per the Constitution. So I'm excited about her confirmation.
And Mark, I want to ask you to kind of address one of the concerns that I think everybody touched on, and that is what's going to happen with health care. There are conversations happening around the Affordable Care Act and what might happen with that should it get pushed to the Supreme Court once again and stand trial in that case. And I wanted you to kind of look at this through an economic lens and share with us, there are problems with the Affordable Care Act, but looking at how we spend money on health care, how much we spend on health care, and how we pay for it, how can we understand maybe a path forward to what happens whether the ACA is confirmed or we have to do something different?
Right. So it is currently about to be argued in front of the Supreme Court with, and Amy will be there, Justice will be there to be part of that decision. And so it's really around the mandate. And there's no longer a mandate. And so the decision is, can the Affordable Care Act stand without that mandate? So really what's at risk is millions of people who have health care now because of the Affordable Care Act. So kind of the worst case scenario is the whole act gets thrown out. Now that's not necessarily likely, but it is possible. And without anything waiting to replace it, then you're going to have literally millions of people who are immediately without health care during a global healthcare crisis around COVID-19. And so that would be that would really be disastrous for a lot of people, in particular African Americans, as we all know, who are disproportionately impacted by COVID-19 in terms of death, hospitalizations, and all of that. One thing I do want to add to just kind of the broader question about her appointment. I'm happy to take her at her word in terms of how she'll address the Constitution. But part of that is thinking about what other justices she may be like. And so Antonin Scalia is the one who she mentions and who other mention. And so what that means is there's now a balance on the court that will be willing to look at laws that have passed and have actually gone to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has been okay with in the past, but now they'll come back, potentially affirmative action, a whole host of other laws and issues that directly impact African Americans.
Well, certainly we've already heard about Roe v. Wade, but there have been a lot of court decisions, Brown versus Board, and so a lot of people are concerned about what's to come next. I do know that I wanted to ask you also, Danielle, when it comes to the Affordable Care Act and possibly a replacement, what do you know about what could replace the Affordable Care Act?
Well, looking at it from a conservative or a Republican standpoint, we got to first just look at Obamacare as a whole. I continually challenge against this notion that there's this one size fits all for anything. So even with Obamacare, there were some in our community that were not happy with it. It didn't solve all problems as well. So the healthcare discussion is one that's evolving. Now, I will say this, we've got some positive wins in healthcare when it comes to how the president has worked with transparency in pricing, the attempt of knowing how much things cost and being able to look in and see what goes on, behind the scenes in healthcare to make better choices. So I feel that there's just a concern that everyone is just going to all of a sudden wake up and no one's going to be able to go to hospital. No one's going to be able to be seen, and we're all just going to be dropped. And that's not the case. President Trump has said that there is a plan that he has for healthcare. No, we don't have all the details on it yet, but I will say Obamacare was not this gold standard that everybody tries to protect it as, and that it's an evolving conversation with healthcare, and it's something that we've got to continually work on.
And another issue that's sort of come up is what happens with the counting of ballots on election day and afterwards. And Tim, I wanted you to just share a little bit about, how does that evening work out? Election night, what's it look like, and how do things get counted?
Well, it's going to be a long night for sure, Deborah. We do know that absentee ballots that are postmarked and sent in by November 3rd, they will be counted up until November 12th and 13th. But the goal, election officials, they really want to get those absentee ballots in by election night so that they can count these ballots, and as well as these one-stop early votes, so they can have a good sense of where we're going to stand with these candidates. But there is some concern that we will be waiting, several days after the election to find out exactly what happens, what the outcome will be. But it will certainly be a long night, as we are seeing record turnout in early voting and absentee ballots. Right now, more than 800,000 people have cast an absentee ballot, and we are nearing the 4 million mark altogether in early voting.